Back, everybody. Today we're talking about that Starfield. That's right. We're talking about that massive 40-minute gameplay leak that happened, what it means for us, and don't worry, there's no spoilers. And Gamescom Day 2 just happened, and Starfield's own Pete Hines and Sir Todd Howard both had interviews revealing a lot more details about Starfield. And oddly enough, how all of these things kind of intertwine into each other, making it a fantastic thing, actually. So yeah, let's peel it back. Let's get into it. So the gameplay leak, the 40-minute gameplay leak. Yes, I did see it. So you don't have to. It was awful. And what do I mean by that? So it had good things about it, right? But like the reason why it was bad is the production quality was just wretched awful, and the gameplay was even worse, if you can even believe it. It was like giving your controller to your nana, and like she didn't know what to do with it, almost. And she's like, huh? Carrot cake? And then the quality, the production was so bad because this poor guy puts his phone propped up in a chair in front of the TV that's vertical, and so the audio is bad, the visuals are worse, and then you hear this poor child in the background upset, and then you can't really hear what he's saying. He's like mumbling, and then you just want to go through the screen because it took him 5 minutes to put his helmet back on. So like I'm going hard on the guy, but I shouldn't be, because he's just playing the game. He got the game legitimately. He's not trying to do anything malicious. But yes, did it get taken down? Oh, you betcha. You can even see who took it down. So obviously he's not allowed to post any of that stuff, and he got absolutely obliterated. And yes, that's the real link on the screen. You can check for yourself if you want to. But yeah, this guy was just really excited about it. He got the game sent to him legitimately, like the physical game, or at least the package for it, the Constellation version. And he just, he's like, oh, let me try this, thinking he's like, yeah, it's time. And he was able to play it. And so he just started to record it. So I give him props for doing it. Although, even though he got absolutely kicked in the beanbags for it because he got blasted. I don't know if he's going to try to do it again, but he will get copyright struck just as fast as he did prior. So, all right. So what are the takeaways from this? I watched this, so you don't have to. There's definitely no spoilers, I don't think. And if anything, I think that experience Todd Howard was talking about during Gamescom, where he said, hey, we have a theater. We're going to show you the opening of the game. I think it was kind of that, but we had just a worse version of it because we had it propped up in a chair looking through like a dirty glass. You know what I mean? So, there's no secret as to like what's happening at the beginning of the game. It's public knowledge. Todd Howard himself said it today, and he also talked about it prior. So I think, and I'm not going to say what any of that stuff is, just in case. I don't want to, but I don't think it really spoiled anything for the game. If anything, it helped really, I think, put to rest a lot of the concerns people had. Even my concerns. Like, yes, I'm still very excited for this game, but I, still have concerns like how much of it was overhyped. What does it look like? What does it feel like for real? And I think this really answered it in a good way. Because things like Fallout 76 and other game studios have left an extremely bad taste in their mouth. Yes, I know Fallout 76 was done by a different studio. It started terrible, but it's good now. But like, still, it's under the umbrella of, Bethesda. So it's just really hard to, it's like touching a hot stove. You're not, you're like, oh, I'm going to get burned again. So yes, I think this really helped answer that because the performance looked great. I didn't see any crashes. I didn't see any bugs. The frame rate, honestly, you don't even like notice because it's at 30 consistently. And a lot of people are like, oh, I'm used to 60 or 144. But like, you're playing a competitive shooter online or things that require more frame rates. This is an RPG, so I don't think it needs to be that. Although, to be fair, once the PC comes online, I'm sure the modding community will kick those things up for us. But as far as experience, the way it looks, I think it's great. I think it's exactly what we see is what we're going to get. I think what we think it is what it is. And that was my conclusion from the whole thing. So obviously I don't want to upset Bethesda. I don't want them coming after me. My cheeks. So yeah, my conclusion, my excitement's even higher than it was before, if that's even possible. I feel like my head's going to explode. So yeah, it was all really good stuff. All right, so somebody else put this up here. It was on Twitter. So they compared the showcase from last year to this year because they did take almost a year, I think, to really put polish on the game. And again, that leak kind of showed us that they took the time to do it because it felt like it had the polish. It's not just the talk, it was the walk. And so you can see right here, just between those two, how much time what they have done to it and how much better it looks. And I feel like the whole game is like that from what I can see so far. So yeah, it's great, right? These are all really good things. Okay, so I know a lot of people have been waiting for that video so to give people options to play the game. Honestly, it would have been today, but this stuff keeps coming out so fast. It's not out yet, so hopefully tomorrow. I just want to let you guys know there are options to play this game. If you have a computer that can't play it, that's not a problem. If you've got a PlayStation, also not a problem. There are things like xCloud, Game Pass Ultimate, I believe, has xCloud built into it. If you have a smart TV, you can play it that way. Let's not forget our controllers do wirelessly connect to um, our devices. So like if you have a PlayStation or Xbox controller, that's fine. In a lot of cases you'll have access to these things and you can go play it. And again, because it has 30 frames or it's capped at 30 frames per second, this is good for these options too. So if you're not like competitive, you don't have to worry about your latency for like another player, then you're good, right? So I just want to let you know there's options. Again, we have products down in the lower left-hand corner of the screen, and there's a Backbone 1, which is like a controller adapter that goes onto an Android or an iOS. So if you're looking to do that, you can. I just want to let you know that if you want to play this, it is possible. And then if you've got some money, if you want to go all the way, you can get an X, a Series X, or you can get a Series S. Those both play it. Again, we'll stick it in the products down the lower left-hand corner. It helps support the channel as well. Okay, on to the next piece. Pete Hines was saying this. Do I have this here? I thought I did. Where's old Sir Pete Hines? Oh, that's a picture of Pete Hines. Well, that's what he looks like. Right here, it was interesting because people are also asking, like, okay, so the game looks good, but can we go anywhere? Can we explore anywhere? And he basically said yes. And I watched the interview. Actually, I saw this before his interview on Gamescom. But yeah, it looks like we can walk and check out almost anything or everything. So a lot of people are like, hey, can I land and just walk around? Yes. I didn't see any of that in the gameplay leak, just to be clear, but I mean, he's flat out just saying it, so I thought that was pretty interesting that he put that out there. Okay, this is a good segue into Pete Hines' interview. So, Sir Pete Hines, everybody's Sir now. It was a very nice interview because you really got an idea of because this guy's been doing it for so long. You really got an idea of how big the game was, and it really ties into the other stuff that we've already seen, like the gameplay leaks and stuff. Yeah, since he's like a veteran in the industry, I thought it was interesting that he specifically told his team to enjoy the moment that they're in now, as busy as they are, because it's not often you get to be a part of something this special. And I was like, huh, you know what I mean? I was like, you don't really say that if you're like just hyping up garbage. And now that we've seen the gameplay, I don't think it's hype. I think it's for real. And so it just really reinforced the whole situation. Um, yeah, and he was really talking a lot about how big the game was. And after playing, you know, I mean, I still play Star Citizen and stuff. I know it's in development, but like, it's when people ask me what Star Citizen, how big it is, I'm like, you really have to see it to believe it. And I think this game is kind of on that scale. Obviously, Star Citizen is way bigger, but like to get a sense of just how big and how many options you have, I get what he's saying, and he just brought it up so many different times. He even made the comment that he said, "We made an irresponsibly large game," and he said it, you know, in you know, positively. And I was like, I get that. I totally get it. So he was also talking about this too, because a lot of people are worried about the amount of time there is. I think the main quest line Todd Howard said is 40 hours if you play it just straight. But again, it's like Skyrim or Oblivion and stuff like that, where you're like, there's lots of things to do. It's not just about the main quest. And I thought it was really encouraging to hear him say he was 150 hours in on his current save and intentionally went off the main quest line to deviate. And he's like, I'm nowhere close to where I need to be to get anywhere to the end of the game. I'm like, that's perfect. That's what we all want. So I thought that was great to hear that. He even said, and this is an interesting tactic too. He said he has a save point when he knows something's coming up, and so he'll like, if there's a fork in the road, he'll save it, and then he'll take the left side and play it out for 40 hours, and then he'll go back to that initial fork and then take the right side, you know, just, you know, because I don't know what these choices are, and then he'll take it 40 hours in that direction just to see where it goes. I was like, that's crazy, dude. That's freaking awesome. This is what we want. This is exactly what we want. And I thought it was very interesting too. He said there's handcrafted areas, but there's procedural in other areas, so the experience will be different from player to player. And I was like, that's tight. Think like if any of you guys have seen on the channel recently, we did Remnant 2, stuff like that, where there's definitely like mainline stuff, but like the rest of the game is like put together for you on that instance. And I think it's going to be along those lines for us for Starfield. And I thought that I was like, dude, I didn't really think about that, but I was like, that's so sick. So like this, it wouldn't be necessarily the same place if we're on the planet. I was like, hey, go here. You may not see the same thing that I do. In most cases, you won't, unless it's one of those like main handcrafted cities. I thought that was amazing. So yeah, I think the biggest takeaway from this was again, the game is absolutely massive and really hard to pin down just how big it is. And you can really play how you want to play. And he said one of the tips he said he encourages you to do activities to see some extra really cool and crazy stuff. And I was like, I like that. So yeah, that's what we have for the breakdown. We've got all of the Gamescom stuff. We'll let you guys know if there's anything else that comes on the pipeline, and be on the lookout for the options for people that don't have PCs or have PlayStation. So you'll still be able to play this game. It should have been today, but there's just been so much stuff that's come out. So I want to make sure you guys saw this because I thought it was very encouraging. And again, just it's like Christmas when you're a kid now. I'm just like, how many more sleeps do we have till I can play this? I'm losing my mind. All right, love you. We'll see you in the next one. Bye. Oots, 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 oots.